Thank you for staying with us before Alera takes off on this journey into the Constitution of Nigeria in our social studies class today. But before that, Nazif Said Wambai sent in a tweet, and I thought I should read it. He says, if you want to enslave a society, deny them their history. If traditional institutions don't matter, why is it still existing in England and other European and Asian countries? We must develop and strengthen our traditional institutions. That's coming from Nazif Said Wambai.
Right, now we are in the classroom, and today we're going to be looking at the Constitution. A constitution is a primary document used for managing the country's affairs democratically. It is also a set of principles that can be written or unwritten to help in the governance of a country. It is designed to define in either explicit or implicit way the operational boundary of all the organs of government. In other words, the Constitution says who is who and the powers that who has. That is it. It just defines the boundaries. So where Nyota's powers stop, that's where mine begins. Where mine stops is where Ugo's begins. And nobody should overstep their bounds. That is what the Constitution does, basically. But let's dig further into this Constitution of ours. And to do that with us this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome a legal practitioner, Mr. Ugo Otoye.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thanks for joining us. So we talk about this Constitution all the time. It seems to be a document that's very, very weighty. Why is that so?
Well, like you just read out, the Constitution is the Grundnorm. Grundnorm. Well, that's that's heavy. You know, it's a supreme law.
Okay.
So it's
all laws in the land are subordinate to it.
To the Constitution. So if there is any inconsistency, so that other law becomes null and void to the extent of that inconsistency. So the Constitution is supreme.
Okay.
Or is supposed to be supreme.
Okay. So is it of benefit to every citizen of this country to actually have and understand the Constitution?
Yes, I think so. I think, my opinion, I think we should have, you know, even at the primary schools, you know, let them know that we have a Constitution. Let them know the basic, you know, elements of our Constitution. You know, from if you start early, you know, they'll be able to appreciate the fact that citizens of Nigeria, as citizens of Nigeria, they have some responsibilities, they have rights. You know, they know what governments at each level, you know, were supposed to do. So I think we should start early. I think we should actually have, you know, a curriculum on Constitution, on what we need to know our basic rights and responsibilities in the law of our land.
Okay, so I read through this and I actually took some notes.
Yes.
So it protects the various individuals' rights and freedom, puts the power to rule the country in the citizens' hands. So the power to rule is not actually in the political class.
It's not supposed to be.
When you say it's not supposed to, it implies that it is.
Well, I mean, we all know what's going on to some extent.
Okay, it puts the power to rule in the hands of the citizens.
Yes.
It is called to limit the power of government and establish a check and balance system.
Yes. So okay, what that means is that, you know, because we don't know our rights and then our responsibilities under our Constitution, that is why we don't know that the power to actually, you know, elect and to actually put there who represents us is in our hands.
Okay. Whose duty is it to teach the people their rights as enshrined in the Constitution?
I think every citizen there should be this, zeal to know what is in the constitution of your country. I don't think it's specific. I mean, in schools, yes, we might, teach it. NGOs might go and, simplify it. But I think as a citizen of Nigeria, you should actually have an interest to know what it is, the laws that govern your country. So there should be this enthusiasm, there should be this, zeal to say, okay, what and what. So, I mean, you have a constitution, you can download it online, you can read it from your phone. You can buy
that
the
downloading
constitution.
online might be confusing because there are so many variations. Some they tell you the 1999 Constitution as amended and all of that. So which one is which? So
the 1999 Constitution. That's what we
I'm
have.
saying. No, that's something. The
As
1999
amended.
Constitution. When you go online, you see the 1999 Constitution.
Yes.
You see the 1999 Constitution as amended, and then sometimes they'll tell you that one that was amended is even wrong because after that amendment there have been other amendments. So
oh dear.
many people that want to find out what their rights are get confused. Okay, which one is the correct one? Which one is the one? Because you say as amended, you feel as amended, and then some people, mark the word, are not patient enough to run through all the amendments and all that. So let's start here.
Okay.
In this class now, what are the rights of the citizen as amended, as contained in the Constitution?
Okay, first of all,
Amended.
no, let me deal with the amendments. If you want to get the Constitution, you get the 1999 Constitution.
As amended.
Not as amended.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, there are so many amendments after that. When Obasanjo was in power, he made some, he signed it into law some amendments. When Jonathan was in power, he signed into law some amendments. So the amendments you can get after you've gotten the 1999 Constitution.
Okay. Get the basic first.
Get the basic first.
Okay.
Okay.
So
All right,
the amendments are, subsequent to the Constitution itself.
Okay. So let's look at that. Let's go back there and look
Yes.
at how does the Constitution affect me
Yes.
as a citizen, and what are my rights and responsibilities as contained in that
Okay.
Constitution?
First of all, I mean, I'll start.
Please keep it short
You
so
keep it
that
short.
we can cover as much
Yes,
ground
as
as
much.
possible.
Yes, I mean, I'll start by saying, from the Constitution, the preamble to the Constitution says, "We the people." I'll come back to that much.
Which
much
some
later.
have said is a lie.
Yes, I'll come back to that much later. But what it means is that we have gathered ourselves and they've said, "This is the Constitution we have adopted as citizens of this country." So.
So that whether you were there or not, the
Yes.
fact that you're a
Yes,
citizen
you're
of this
a
country,
citizen of the
you're part of that.
So in chapter 2, they have what we call the fundamental objective principles of state policy. Fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy. Now, chapter 3 deals with your rights. Chapter 4 deals with your rights as a citizen. There's a right to life. There's a right to liberty. There's a right to freedom of expression. And it lists them out, So I'll start with the fundamental principles and objective directive principles on state policy. Now, that same section, that same Constitution, section 6, subsection 66C, makes those fundamental objective and directive principles of state policy non-justiciable. Now, it's there in the Constitution, but what it means is that you cannot, enforce it through the courts. So questions arise. So why do you put it there? Now,
So if someone violates those rights,
yes,
I cannot go to
you
court.
cannot go to court. But they're just there to guide. They have let me list them one by one. There's the political directive principle. There's an economic directive principle. There's a social directive principle. There is a foreign policy directive principle. There's an environmental directive principle. So these were put there just to guide the government and to let them know that these are the things that they need to be doing for the citizens. Now, whether you do it or not, you cannot take them on it because the same Constitution makes all those principles non-justiciable.
That's why I cannot sue NEPA, for instance, for not giving me power.
Now,
But if that, for instance, using the Nepal situation now, affects my life, and the Constitution says I have a right to life,
yes,
can't I sue them? Can't I go to court and prove that the fact that they are not giving me life
Is the reason why
is the
I'm
reason
bedridden.
why I am not living as I should?
Yes.
I don't have life as I should.
yes. Well, like I said, I mean, it is explicit. It says that you cannot bring an action on those particular things listed. So,
Even if it affects my rights, which is justiciable.
well, how do you? Well, you have to. You go to court to prove that. It has affected your life. So it can go either way.
Okay,
but the fact is that you can't even sue on that.
Okay, look, Ugo.
Yes.
I am on a kidney machine.
Yes.
Because I don't have power, I'm at the point of death. So I go to court. I'm wheeled into court in a gurney, for instance, and I'm saying it is because I do not have power that I'm in this vegetative state. What's going to happen to my case? It'll be thrown out.
The issue is that if as a citizen, like I said before, we don't. Basically, an average Nigerian do not know their rights. So nobody has really gone to court to test what you're saying.
I'm not going to be the first.
Okay.
So if we have cases where yes, I know my rights, and then you're saying I want to prove that because you did not do your job, it has affected my rights to life. Those are things that we want to see happening in our courts of law.
Okay, let me run through some of these rights.
Yes.
There are about 11.
Yes, there are about 11 of them.
The right to own property
Yes.
in any part of the country.
Yes.
The right to freedom, from discrimination.
Yes.
In other words, no citizen of Nigeria is to be accorded any privilege or advantage that is not accorded to citizens of Nigeria of other communities, ethnic groups, places of origin, sex, religion, or political opinions and circumstances to his or her birth. Right to freedom of movement. Every citizen of Nigeria is entitled to move freely throughout Nigeria to reside in any part of it, and no citizen of Nigeria shall be expelled from Nigeria or refused entry or exit from it. Right to freedom of assembly and association. Every individual has a right to assemble freely and associate with any other person he or she may form or belong to any particular party, trade union, or other association.
Yes.
The right to freedom of expression. Every Nigerian is entitled to freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart ideas and information without interference, and is entitled to own, establish, and operate any medium for the dissemination of information, ideas, and opinions, even though some will say, what are you talking about? Right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion.
Yes.
The right is guaranteed that an individual may manifest and propagate his religion or belief in worship, teaching, practice, and observance. It also guarantees the right of an individual to change his religion or belief. Rights to privacy. The privacy of citizens, their homes, correspondence, telephone conversations, and telegraphic communications. The right to fair hearing. A fair hearing within a reasonable time by a court or other tribunal established by law and constituted in such a manner as to secure its independence and impartiality. Ugo, I hope you're listening. The rights to personal liberty. The rights that individuals have a right to their liberty. This means no individual must be deprived of his or her right to liberty or freedom unless it is in accordance with the law, except those who have committed a crime. The right to dignity. The right to means that every Nigerian has a right to not to be subjected to torture or inhuman, degrading treatment, and no Nigerian should be held in circumstances which amount to slavery or servitude. And then the right to life. Every Nigerian has a right to life. 11 basic rights of the Nigerian.
Yes, and then they're enshrined in Chapter 4 of the Constitution.
The 1999 Constitution.
That's specifically sections 33 to 46.
Now, there are other laws that appear to affect these basic rights. Do you agree with that? Are there laws like that?
What I can say is that there are limitations to these rights.
Okay.
Now, you've listed all of them. There are rights in itself. That was why I started with the those directive principles that are not justiciable.
Okay.
Fine, they are there. you can't sue them, the government, on those ones. But these ones are your fundamental rights. In fact, with the AU Charter on Africa, on people's rights that we have, Nigeria is supposed to have signed into law. So that further reinforces the fact that these rights that are mentioned in the Constitution, you can actually sue on them if your rights, the rights to those things mentioned have been infringed. So you can go to court and say, I want to enforce my right, my fundamental right to life, my fundamental rights to own a property. But like I said, there are limitations to enjoying those rights. So, for example, you mentioned the right to freedom of movement. If, for example, your movement would cause some national disaster or some form of harm to some other human being, the government can restrict those rights and say, okay, fine, we want to keep you here. So right of movement is restricted under special circumstances. So they're not rights that you will say you would enjoy without limitations.
So this is enshrined in Chapter 4 of the 1999
Yes.
Constitution. Now, what rights?
Alaf, the former Emir of Kano.
Yes.
What rights does the
And
nation...
that's why so many people are saying that, fine, do what you want to do, but not restrict his rights to move around.
Yeah. Okay.
So what rights does a nation have? Because Nigeria as a nation has rights that the citizen should respect. So what rights does a nation have? Are they also in the Constitution?
As a country?
But this is what the nation's responsible for the nation, for the citizens, this one.
Yes.
What is the citizen responsible for the nation for?
Yes. So
what does the citizen owe the nation?
So the citizens owe the nation. It's also listed in Chapter 3 of our Constitution. So you call them the responsibilities as a citizen. So you have responsibility.
Where is that?
It's in the Constitution as well.
What part of the Constitution?
It's in Chapter 3.
Chapter 3.
Yes, Chapter 3.
So in Chapter 3 of the Constitution, we have the responsibilities of the citizen.
It's in Chapter 2, actually. Chapter 3, yes.
Chapter 3, responsibilities of the citizen to the nation.
To the nation, yes.
And in Chapter 4, we have responsibilities of the nation to the citizen. That's the rights of the citizen. Okay, so let's talk about the responsibility of the citizen.
So you have your responsibility to pay taxes, to honor the nation's pledge and anthem. You have... I have them listed here, so let me just read them out.
Okay, before you do that reading, we'll just take a moment, go on a quick break, and we'll come back to tidy up, and then you can read that. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Social studies, our closing moments. Ugo Otonye. So, Ugo, you were about to read the rights, the responsibility of the citizen to the nation.
Yes. So, like I said, first of all, you have a responsibility to abide by the Constitution. To know the national anthem, the pledge, you have the right to protect and preserve public property. So the way you protect and preserve your own property, you also have a responsibility to protect public property. So if you see public property being damaged as a citizen, you have the responsibility to protect public property. You also have the responsibility to enhance the image of the country. So wherever you find yourself as a citizen, you should, enhance the image of Nigeria.
So all of us who say Nigeria is a failed country, we should be going to jail, right?
Well, it's your responsibility to ensure that you speak well of your country as a citizen. You have the responsibility to protect, the dignity and religion of other citizens, despite your own belief. That's part of responsibility as a citizen.
But Ugo,
yes.
You know that, now I'm just playing devil's advocate, by the way, those countries where the citizens are
passionate,
passionate and nationalistic, they can point to 1, 2, 3, 4 things that their country has done for them. And therefore, they are ready to defend that country with the last drop of their blood. But here, where I can't even take my country to court for not giving me potable water, do you expect that level of passion from me when I'm talking about my country and when I'm dealing with my country?
Sorry, and then I'll have to go back to the fact that, my opinion, I think this constitution needs to be jettisoned. Let us start all over again and give ourselves the constitution that we deserve. So when we do that, what it means is that we are looking at all the sections of the constitution. So we can truly say, we, the people, have given ourselves this constitution. So that's where it comes in. So from what you've said, if you don't do your part and you expect me to do my part, so who gave who the constitution? Yes.
Yeah.
Until we get to that point where we're jettisoning,
Yes.
what do we do? Do we even know
With
what
this
we have
one.
now?
So let's start with what we have. And then ensure that we, abide by the principles of what we have currently.
All right.
So, this is what we have. This is what we've been given. So we have to
work with it.
And then, carry out our responsibilities as citizens of Nigeria. So the next thing is you have a responsibility to pay your taxes and truthfully pay your taxes.
Pay my taxes. I recall when Fashola was governor of Lagos State, and we heard about Okada riders actually looking for tax offices to go pay their taxes. And that was because they saw where the money was going. So if you don't see anything, you want to ask yourself, so why do they expect me to pay tax? Look at the road. I have no water. I have no power.
Electricity.
So what am I paying taxes for? For them to steal. But if they take me to court, I'll probably be jailed for having those thoughts.
Yes.
Exactly.
But you can take them to court for not providing water and light.
I can't.
You can't.
But they can take me to court for not paying tax.
Yes. So that's why
This
I
is
said
unfair.
it's skewed to...
This is unfair.
Yeah, it's very unfair. So that's why I started with saying that, we said we the people. Who gave us this constitution?
It wasn't us.
Again, two wrongs, as they say, don't make it right.
Yes.
So if you
so
don't
you
obey
do your
this
part.
constitution as it is now, you go to jail.
You go to jail.
Full stop.
Do
No
your
two
part.
ways about
So
it.
we'll go in rounding up,
Yes.
what will you say to us and the constitution in 30 seconds?
This is my opinion. I would say that, it was Lord Denning in UAC and McFoy, one case, he said, if an act is illegal, it is ab initio void. And any process, anything you've done based on that illegal act becomes void as well. So he said you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. It will collapse. So for me, I think the Constitution itself was not given by us. So it's high time we sit down, give ourselves a Constitution that will stand the test of time.
While we're waiting for that new constitution, what do you do with this constitution?
Obey the thing,
Obey this one.
Obey the guidelines, the principles, everything laid out in the Constitution as a responsibility as a citizen. Ensure that you obey
or
them.
you will go to jail.
Full stop. There's no two ways about it. Mr. Ugo Otroye, a legal practitioner, thank you very much for coming to talk to us about the Constitution.
Thank you for having me.
I think some more people have a better understanding of their rights according to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Sunrise will return in just a moment. Don't go far.